Welcome to Budget Beauty, where I help you look flawless for less. Welcome back, and a very special welcome if you're new here. My name is Jen, and this is Budget Beauty. We do everything beauty on a budget, and that includes tutorials, reviews, and first impressions. Today, we're going to be reviewing and doing a tutorial with the new Give Me Glow Cosmetics Night Life palette. I shared this in a new makeup releases, and I let you know that I was going to be picking this up. I own one palette from Give Me Glow, and it is the Juicy Olive palette, and I love it. So when I saw that this was released, the color story spoke right to my heart. So I just knew that I had to pick it up. I am going to go ahead and insert some close-ups of the unicarton, the palette itself. And one thing that is great about this palette is that it does have a mirror. I always appreciate that for doing makeup on the run or in a room other than a bathroom or a place that you have a set in place mirror. It's nice to have one as part of the palette. All of the shadows in this palette are actually single. So when that palette arrived in my mailbox, I received the actual magnetic Z palette, and then each one of the shadows were singles, and I placed them in the palette myself. This is kind of a nice feature because you're able to customize the layout of your palette. I just did mine pretty simple by putting the two shimmer shades in the middle. Now I will say that these shadows swatched absolutely beautifully. One thing I did notice when I was swatching them is that some of the shades feel a little rough and powdery to the touch, while some of the other shades are nice and smooth. Now the shimmers in the palette, they felt a little bit chunky to the touch. Now they all swatched really nicely, but I also noticed quite a bit of kick up in the pan when I was swatching them. So we're going to see how they apply to the eye. Am I going to regret doing my base makeup before my eyes? Are these going to fall out all over my face? We shall see. But with that aside, I absolutely love the color story and I can't wait to test it out. So if you're excited, give this video a thumbs up. Subscribe if you're not, because I do get ready with me's, tutorials, reviews, makeup releases, all the things here on Budget Beauty, and I upload lots and lots of new videos every single week. Down in the description box, I will go ahead and put all of the other makeup that I'm wearing today, as well as the Give Me Glow Night Life palette. There's actually a coral addition to this palette as well, so I'll link them both down below for you with a discount code. You'll also find my favorite beauty boxes, and last but not least, come on over, follow me on TikTok for more beauty on a budget. So let me zoom you in, we'll prime my eyes, and let's test out the Night Life palette. So the first thing I'm going to do, as always, is prime my eyes with my MAC Paint Pot in Painterly. I always prime my eyes. For me, I find that the shadow stays throughout the day. It doesn't crease. And of course, I get the true pigmentation of the shadow. I just go ahead and dab that in just to make sure there is no creasing. I actually get asked a lot if I set my eye primer. I do not. Once I tap it in to make sure there's no creases, I just let it sit for about 30 seconds before I start applying shadow. So now the hard part. The hard part is deciding what look I want to create. I know I want to use a good amount of the shadows so that we can really test out the formulas, because like I said, they felt a little bit different when I went to swatch them. So shade names are on the back of the pan. I do not want to pull the pans out of the palette. So we are going to start with this bright yellow shade, and I'm going to use that as my transition. I don't know if you can see, but see all that kick up and that powder in the pan? I for sure noticed that when I was swatching. So I'm going to make sure to tap my brush off so that I can reduce as much fallout as possible. Using the mirror in the palette, I'm going to apply the yellow to my crease. Now this is going on really nicely. I think tapping your brush is really important. I don't see any fallout yet. Lucky for me, I have already set my face, so if there is some fallout, I'll just brush it away. But this is applying beautifully. It's very pigmented, blendable, and it is the perfect transition shade. Plus, it's kind of a fun addition to the palette because if you can see, it's a little of a yellow-orange hybrid. You do see a little bit of an undertone of orange in it, and I really, really like that. So that is really pretty and a really good transition shade. So the next shade I'm going to pick up is this little bit deeper kind of blue-green shade. Whoa, there is a lot of kick up in the pan. Can you see that? Look at all of that. That's a lot of kick up. And I literally am just tapping my brush in Whew, that's pretty intense. And I'm going to take that and just focus it on the crease itself. With the yellow shade, I went above and really, like I said, use that as a transition. This kind of grassy blue-green, I'm going to just focus that on the crease. This is also a very, very pretty color, and it's layering really nicely on the yellow. I use that typical windshield wiper motion going back and forth and just blending that into the crease. There's a lot of kick up. I'm sure you could see the powder just popping off my brush. So definitely tap your brush, and honestly, you might be better off doing your base makeup after your eyes. So far, I don't really see any fallout. But if you are concerned about fallout because these are pretty powdery shadows and there's a lot of kick up, like I said, you may just want to do your eyes first and your base makeup second. Generally, a lot of kick up means pigmentation, and we definitely have pigmentation with these shadows. So I'm going back into that yellow shade, and I'm just going to apply that again right above where I put that green shade and just blend everything out. So this is really pretty. I like how the look is looking so far. Now we need to deepen up that outer corner, give this look a little bit of depth. I'm going to use this deepest blue shade in the palette. Again, lots of kick up. I mean, the powder is just falling off of the shadow. I'm going to focus that on the outer corner. Ooh, that's a really pretty blue. It's a royal blue, I would say, but it has just a tiny bit of a purplish undertone. I really, really like it though. It's really pretty with this green and yellow. Make sure you're tapping off your brush if you want to avoid fallout. I will say that the shadow layers really nicely on top of the green shade, which is a little bit deeper shade as well. Sometimes you can have a struggle layering them and it just ends up looking really muddy, but these are layering really, really nicely. I do have the smallest bit of fallout. Like I said, I'll just wipe that away, but I can see a little bit of blue fallout. So now I want to test out these shimmer shades. I actually want to use both of them, and I want to use them in their true form. Like I said, when I felt them, they feel a little chunky, and I want to see how they apply to the eye. So I am not using a glitter primer. Remember, my eyes are primed with the MAC Paint Pot, and I'm going to go in with my finger. This is a beautiful color. It definitely has a blue-green shift, and I'm going to focus that on the outer half of my lid, reserving the inner portion of my lid for the lighter shimmer shade. That is really beautiful. That gives me 100% mermaid vibes. And look at all of that pigment and all that shimmer and multi-chrome goodness with just one swipe in. This is truly a beautiful shimmer shade. Look at how beautiful that is. Wow. I mean, it is like legit mermaid vibes. Now using my brush, because I do want to test and see if it picks up on a brush. Ooh, it looks like it's picking up really nicely. With a little bit denser brush, I'm going to focus that lighter shimmer shade just on the inner portion of my eye. Ooh, that is also really, really beautiful. It is a light blue. I would say a light blue with a gold green shift. So it looks really, really nice with the mermaidy shade, mermaid shimmer shade, as well as the green and yellow that I've applied to my crease. It's blending really nicely with those. And then I am going to pop a little of that as my inner corner highlight. There are only 2 shimmers in the palette, so the rest of the shades are matte. So that is going to be my inner corner highlight, and that is stunning. Absolutely stunning. I do see a little fallout from the shimmer shade as well. To be expected, because these are, like I said, a little bit more powdery formula. So for my lower lash line, I want to pop in a little more green because I feel like we have quite a blue leaning look because of the shimmer. So picking up this deepest green shade in the palette. Now that one, for some reason, has a little less kick up in the pan than the other shades that I used. And I'm going to use that same brush that I used for the inner corner shimmer. I just wipe it off on my color switch and run that under my lower lash line. I can see the powder kicking up, so make sure that you're tapping off your brush. That is beautiful. I really like that shade. It's a hybrid of green and blue. Every shade in this palette coordinates really well together, as I expected when I saw it released. I knew that these blues and these greens, some of them are a little bit more blue leaning green, some of them are a little more purple leaning blues. They just pair really nicely together. So I am going to go back with that same fluffy brush that had the yellow on it. I did not apply any additional shadow. I'm just going to use that for one final blend. So here is the eyeshadow look before I apply liner, mascara, but this is, like I said, stunning. The mattes, the shimmers, everything about this palette, I just really, really love the color story. So let me go ahead and apply my liner, mascara, and I'll be back to share my final thoughts on the Give Me Glow Cosmetics Nightlife palette. So here is the completed eye look with the Give Me Glow Cosmetics Nightlife palette. I did just apply some black liquid liner from the Dollar Tree, actually, the LA Colors liner, the Epic liner. Don't sleep on that. It is such a great liquid liner. I have the ColourPop Act Natural mascara on. That is one of my favorite mascaras. And then I just have a lip oil on, no lip liner, no lipstick. I wanted to really focus on the eye look because it's so beautiful and so intense that I wanted to have just a glossy, natural lip. So let's jump into my thoughts on the Give Me Glow Cosmetics Nightlife palette. First of all, like I said, I love the color story. The color story to me is very unique. It's beautiful. All of the shades blend beautifully together. They layer really, really nicely. They coordinate together, so it's very simple to create looks. You can go monochromatic. You can go a little bit more colorful like I did. There are a lot of possibilities with this palette. The two shimmer shades are absolutely stunning. I mean, seriously, absolutely stunning. They applied excellent with my finger. They applied perfectly with the brush. There is a ton, and when I say a ton of kick up in the pan, there's a ton of kick up in the pan. There is also a potential for a ton of fallout. I would highly recommend two things. Number one, tap your brush off before applying the makeup. Number two, do your face after your eyes. That way, if you get a large amount of fallout, you can just wipe your face off and start fresh with your base and start with your base makeup. Other than the kick up and the potential fallout, I had a little bit of fallout, not a lot, but the potential fallout, I think this palette is absolutely stunning. In my opinion, is comparable to the Juicy Olive palette, which I absolutely love. It makes me pretty interested in the Coral palette. Now, I didn't buy the Coral palette. I went ahead and just picked up this one only because the color story spoke to me a little bit more, but I am interested in the Coral palette, and it may be something that I pick up down the road. But overall, I really enjoyed this palette. I enjoyed working with it. I truly love the color story. I actually love that they're singles so that you can pop them out and move them around. There's definitely a lot of pluses for this palette. Let me know down in the comments, what are your thoughts? Did you pick the palette up? What do you think of my eye look? And as always, I will link the palette down in the description box with a discount code for you so that you can save some money if you decide to purchase it. And of course, like I said, let me know your thoughts on my eye look and overall your thoughts on the palette. If you enjoyed today's video, give it a big thumbs up. Subscribe if you're not, because I upload lots and lots of new videos every single week. And of course, you'll find in the description box my favorite beauty boxes. And don't forget, come follow me on TikTok for more beauty on a budget. Am I glad that I bought the Give Me Glow Nightlife palette? Absolutely.